good leader for your horse earns you respect, earns you automatic trust, and despite natural horsemanship training these days, you don't need a round pen to accomplish these things. There are two things that are primary to the horse and them looking to a leader that can be trusted, and that is space and directing their movement. In other words, who can make whose feet move. I do this work on a lead line for various reasons. But first, it helps the handler learn the energy and the body language required to become a good, trustworthy leader. It also teaches the horse to give to pressure. Most everything we do with our horse, they're either in hand or we're riding. So I use this opportunity also to have the horse learn never to push into pressure and always to come off pressure. This also allows the handler and the owners to learn exactly how to transmit the information to their horse and get the right response. The horse becomes much more relaxed, they become willing, and they become engaged with you. Mentally engaged, that is. So this is my version of joining up, and I'm going to take you through the steps of the requirements to earn the respect that you want from your horse so that you and your horse can become solid partners. This is not about domination. It's about a partnership that works together.
He's got some respect issues, pins his ears all the time, tries to run me over, kick at my head sometimes. All around, he tries my patience.
Most everything that a horse does is reactive in nature, right? Their brains are reactive, instinctual brains. They do things not out of a thought process. They don't have very much intellect. So they can't really think through a process unless you really give them a lot of time. So you sort of have to show them the way to where the answer is and what the right answer is. So you have to come up with the plan and then tell him what you want him to do to accomplish the plan and then reward the plan. And so what happens then is they become involved in the process, and actually you turn on that intellectual process. As little as it is, they can use it for the good. You know.
We hope.
Yes. Okay, so what I'm going to do is explain to you about setting up these space boundaries. He's not allowed to step into my space, so I just simply push him back out of it. He comes back up into it, and you see already lick and chew just because I said, no, no, no. This is my space, that's your space. So all I did was make my space a little bigger so he could see it. That was not a command. It was, this is mine, that's yours, okay? And those feet and that nose included cannot move into this space. So if he starts reaching into my space, I just push his nose out very quietly and very gently, like so. And then it's not an argument.
Right.
Okay, now he's pretty good about not using his nose in space, except when you're standing right next to him. Okay. Now this position I've assumed is not next to him because now I want him to identify me as the leader. Okay. So I make sure that I'm there. You see, I'm casual. My stance is casual. He reads this as everything's okay, everything's just fine. My feet, though, what I'm doing here is blocking his going forward space. He should not step forward at all because I'm establishing that. But I'm also kind of taking a leadership position here. So this is the way I always start with the horse, is he's got to deal with me if I'm right in front of him, you know, and he can't push me around very easily. And he's a very sweet horse who really doesn't want to necessarily be in charge. I know it doesn't feel that way when he's kicking at your head. But that's part of the guardianship that comes with the leadership. Good boy. Good. So I've just, now this motion is a flagging motion that simulates when they toss their heads at each other, pin their ears and toss their heads at each other. They identify movement, not the object that's making the movement. It's okay. Your pocket is yelling. So now you see what's happened here. These are very subtle things I'm pointing out. So this is how I read the horse, okay? After I just flagged him back, I didn't touch the halter, you notice. When I threw him back with space and with that movement. He turned his head and is looking this way now, you see. So that's part of the acknowledgement that he sees my space bubble now. I just defined for him where that line is, and he can see it. Now here he's trying to come at my hand. So I want him to move his feet. When I enter his space, he's supposed to move out of my space. Good boy. So you notice I don't use any verbal cues. I'm trying to relate to him the same way that another horse would. Okay? Verbal cues are a trained cue. We teach them the word and we expect them to know what it means. They don't know English and they can't register the meaning. It's just that it's a learned behavior. Every time they do X, we associate for them a cue or a word or something. And so we teach them that behavior. The problem with using training, I could come across blacklisted. I try not to use the word training very much because I want him to participate with me because he wants to. Yeah. Training implies like he's always going to do what I tell him to do, which is totally untrue. But if you start hitting his instinctual triggers, which is what I'm doing, I'm starting and stopping him based on a space bubble, which is a horse's brain. That will never fail you. Their instinct will always be there, okay? So they can't say no to an instinct. You know, so if you envision that the alpha mare says everybody better run to the right as fast as they possibly can because there's a lion coming. And one horse says, where? I'm not going to move my feet, right? So a horse won't ever refuse anything if they respect that you are truly the leader. I mean, that's the whole basis behind this. So this is that first space boundary that I'm setting up. And then when that happens, he blew into my space, you just blow into his. Yes. And you, good. You see now I stopped him mid-step, all right? And that's my goal. Now I work at moving his front feet. Only front feet. 1 foot. You see I have his attention. Good. Whoop, whoop. Now he stepped forward, which means he defied the space bubble, so he got it wrong. He's going to be very easy for you. This will be easy. He's not an argumentative horse. You notice how big his licking and chewing is after I've told him what to do. It's not a submission thing. It's a process that he's processing the information that says, yes, ma'am, I understand, and releasing tension with his licking and chewing, okay? So I don't like to think of it at all as a submissive situation. I don't want the horses to be submissive to me. I want them to be my friend. Good. So we just have to work on this space bubble thing. And I'm just starting first with asking him to move front feet only. That's a good boy. And I took a little lean into him to get my bubble there. Over here, bud. Good. Very good. Okay, so already, now you notice I'm showing for him with my feet where I want him to put them. So if I want him just to shuffle, let's see if he'll do it already. I don't know. We're that far. But if I shuffle this way, see, he'll do so. Now, you know, it's a good boy. You have to follow me. Stay with me, buddy. Now we're going to cross over feet. Almost.
Yay.
There you go. Good boy. Good. Good boy. I think he wants to be a dancer, Kate.
Yay.
He wants to dance. Okay, so I already got the movement of his front feet by showing him. Now you notice I am looking at his feet so that he knows and understands if I do that and I look at his hindquarters, I'm going to confuse him.
Right.
You know, and it's that simple. Even if I glance up and say, what a nice saddle, he won't know. Okay? So you have to, it's all of the little subtle things. They read energy and they read movement. And these are the only two things that they identify with, really. So equally important to directing your horse's movement, it's part and parcel, that most people don't identify with, is directing movement is also when he should be quiet and comfortable. So you take over his entire life, right? I'm saying to him right now, everything about me says, let's just hang out for a minute, okay? And you know, he's not trying to go, oh, he's thinking about it. Oh, changed his mind, okay? So, and the licking and chewing was a signal that said, you know what, I don't think I'm going to bother because I think she's going to make my feet move again. So what I'm explaining to him now is that, you know, we can be comfortable together. I can provide the comfort for you, all right? And that's still, again, everybody portrays the alpha mare as the big bad mare, but the big bad mare also tells the whole herd when they can just relax. You know, when the threat's over with, she drops her head and starts grazing, you know, and they do a little head shake that calls attention to the whole herd. And everybody turns and looks at her, and she puts her head down and starts eating. That means, time to eat, guys. We're all safe. I've used that as a real key in my programs because I found I can get through and attain leadership so fast if I make sure I provide them with comfort. Okay? And he's enjoying it.
Yeah.
And he's not bothering with, he's staring at that grass. But the leader didn't tell him yet that he could have grass. Okay? Guess I sure wish she would, though. It's looking mighty good.